Namaste, angels. This is the Valentine's reading for my fellow Geminis. It's not just for Valentine's Day. I'm doing this, and I've been trying to think back, and I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've ever done Valentine's readings. I'm doing them because, number one, Valentine's Day falls on a Friday, and so it's going into a weekend. But that weekend that it's going into is a long weekend for many. People are off for like President's Day and President's Week and all that kind of stuff. So off of work, off of school perhaps, and maybe taking advantage of, going on vacations and different things. On top of that, speaking of vacations, they may be impacted and affected because 2 days after Valentine's Day, Mercury goes retrograde in the sign of Pisces. Mercury rules communication, travel, electronics, basically everything we use every day. Your cell phone, your laptop. Mine started bugging out already yesterday. Mercury's just in shadow, hasn't even gone full on retrograde yet. Mine is already on the fritz. And it was this time last year too. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, communications between people, things getting held up and like the mail and messages coming through late, delayed, like texts and messenger and email, or you never got the information, you never received the letter. All that kind of stuff is going to be happening. So I figured this was a good time to do it. And they've been coming out really, really positive. So that's been good. Gemini is the first sign to have the tower. Of course it is, right? Because we're known for being like really standoffish and cold, and Mercury is one of our rulers, our primary ruler. And so that I'm sure has a lot to do with it. We, along with the sign of Virgo and the sign of Pisces, will be the most impacted by the retrograde, for those reasons, because Mercury is our ruler. And of course, it's entering Pisces or has entered Pisces and will go retrograde in Pisces. So Pisceans will also be, among the most impacted by it. Here's our tower. It is Major Arcana card number 16. This deck is called Life Experience. All about a significant life event, a powerful revelation that leads to change. It is time to spread your wings. Now, one thing that I do have to mention is that the tower, for me, is not always a negative card. Let me correct that. It's never a negative card. Sometimes it is challenging, I'll put it that way, at the onset, but it always leads to something better. You have to think, in the vein of like Lord Shiva the Destroyer. He can be scary, right, to people sometimes, but he comes in and knocks everything down so they can rebuild it better. And then that's when he's like praised because everything is good. That's what the tower is too. But sometimes it's good from the start, and you don't have to go through that challenging part. Sometimes the tower is just about like an epiphany, a revelation, major clarity, or just being overwhelmed unexpectedly, perhaps by joy. And normally I wouldn't mention this because it's upside down, and the way that I do my readings, I have my quirks about me and stuff like that. Like I don't acknowledge necessarily the cards that are upside down, and even when I'm doing like clarifications, I'll look for the next upright card, etc. But I do want to mention this because this is our energy and it is in connection to love. Major Arcana card 6, the Lover, is right behind the Tower, which does again represent the sign of Gemini. Intimate relationships, carefully weigh your decisions, good health. And when it comes to decisions, for me, it's like heart versus head decisions, like your heart, your soul, your, body, whatever, intuition is telling you to do one thing, but logic maybe, analytics, perhaps, some sort of intellect or whatever is telling you to do something else. Conventional wisdom, society, whatever, is telling you to do something else. And so there's that tug, like you're fighting with yourself of what to do. But behind the Lovers is the Queen of Water, which first and foremost, as the water signs go, represents the sign of Scorpio, because the Queen in the tarot tends to represent the fixed sign of a given element. And the fixed sign of the element of water is Scorpio. But maybe more importantly than that, the Queen of Water is like the mother of all love and emotion. She's tenderhearted, empathetic, patient, and loving. Relationships develop to a new level. Trust your intuition. care for yourself and others. Like, don't forget to nurture you also when you're doing this nurturing and caring and consideration for other people. I had a conversation with my son this morning about how much like he cares for other people. But, you know, like in relation to himself, not enough. I'll just say it that way. You know, like not enough. Like we need to prioritize. And he's not alone. Like, you know, I'd say the majority of people are like that, like fail to prioritize themselves. It tends to be, if anything, it's like an extreme where you know, overly value yourself, like to the point of like arrogance, right? Or, you know, not enough. And, you know, many of us fail to achieve that balance. So that's something that a lot of us have to work on. And that could be why the Queen of Water is showing up here, so that we do work on that. And also up right behind that is the Four of Fire, or Four of Wands, which is about commitment and up to and including marriage, cohabitation, just happy home, happy life, happy family, you know, all of those things, you being, you know, content and settled and feeling secure and smile on your face, contentment, peace, and abundance, a happy home life, and the successful completion of a project. It could be like a home remodel. Maybe you're doing some stuff, you know, spring cleaning. We're approaching that period. The groundhog said that spring is going to come early, so maybe some people are getting a jump start. Right. Also upright, I could probably go on and do this for days. The King of Water now. So, you know, this is already a love reading, but now this is like confirmation from the cards, in this case, the Angel Tarot, that this, I'm talking about couples, I'm talking about relationships, I'm talking about love with both the King and the Queen of having shown up, only separated by the Four of Wands. You know, how awesome is that? The King of Water is trustworthy, compassionate, respected, and cultured. Open your heart and mind to those around you. This is an important message for Gemini, because that's what I had started to say. Like, we're known as being like standoffish and closed and perhaps even cold or cold-hearted. Some people would say. I wouldn't say that, but some people would say that. So this is guiding us to open up. Okay, this is the last upright one. It is Major Arcana card 9, the Hermit, which represents the sign of Virgo. Again, also ruled by Mercury. So that could be one reason why it's showing up. Perhaps some of us have some sort of involvement with a Virgo. A Virgo is particularly significant to us. Maybe that's our partner, or perhaps we are, you know, a Gemini sun, Virgo moon, something like that. Spend time in quiet meditation. Spiritual teaching, self-discovery. So this is about introspection. Maybe it is this introspection that leads to this overwhelming epiphany, right? This is the start. This is where we start. And that begins to spark feelings of love and emotion and generosity and wanting to be open and, you know, seeking peace and contentment and happiness and joy, maybe commitment and a healthy and happy relationship. Right? We want to nurture it. We want to nurture us so that it can continue to be healthy, continue to be happy. And we want to, or we don't have that yet, we want to attract these things into our lives using like maybe increased psychic awareness. Queen of Water, Queen of Cups. And that brings us back to the Lovers that was in reverse. So, you know, I'm going to talk about the Lovers in reverse. That's what I'll do. So like I said, normally I wouldn't necessarily even acknowledge the card, but I think we should. I think we should talk about it in terms of it having shown up in reverse. Okay, what do I want to say about it? All right, so the Lovers, and I think it's really coming up in conjunction with the Tower. Like, I got to talk about them both, maybe. The Sirens may be joining us for this reason too. Like, alert, alert, hello. The Tower, let me start with the Tower in reverse. Let's do that. And then I can like sort of segue into the Lovers. The Tower in reverse for love. All right, this is traditional tarot. Can be, but of course doesn't necessarily have to be, an indicator that a relationship is nearing its end. Maybe that's why the Sirens are around. If you're in a relationship that you do not want to end, it is important that you do some damage control and maybe attempt to communicate. That could be where the Gemini energy is coming in. Communicate with your partner exactly how you feel. See if they feel the same way, if they're interested in saving the relationship as you are, or whatever. You definitely don't want to make assumptions. You need to find out for sure. You need to be clear. That is a message of the Tower in reverse. But again, like I had started to say about the Tower in general, it does not have to be, a negative card at all. It can be purely positive and just talking about, again, an epiphany or overwhelmed by happiness, by joy, perhaps, like the Lovers. So the Lovers in reverse, similar to the Devil in reverse, Death in reverse, and perhaps even the Tower reverse. Just mean the fact that it's reverse as it relates to love just means that it's going to be, the impact is lessened. So it's still a wonderful omen in terms of love. It's just the energies are weakened a little bit, but still very positive in terms of what is coming for you, or surrounding you that you may not realize, that may all of a sudden you may get an overwhelming display and be made to realize, whether it's just for an epiphany that you have on your own, or somebody makes some sort of, outlandish show of affection for you, then that will be how you, are awakened to the fact that this kind of wonderful love is coming for you. The Lovers being in reverse can also mean that there's delay. This could be where Mercury comes in again. What does Mercury retrograde do? It causes delays because Mercury's in charge of, again, all these energies. Rules all these energies. So slows everything down. But that could be good, perhaps. Maybe you just need to get an idea of what's out there for you, of what's coming for you, of the fact that somebody's interested in you. Maybe they're Pisces, and so they got to slow down too. Or maybe they're a water sign. They got to slow down too, because the Mercury retrograde is affecting them also. So you could start out with something that just seems fabulous, and you might wonder, like where did it go? Like, what's happening? It's like a stop and go energy. That is the Mercury. That's not the person. If you feel it's the person and you're concerned about what's going on, then maybe you want to, again, make an attempt to communicate and find out where they are for sure. Do not make presumptions about how another person feels. That could take us into this enchantment card. This enchantment card is something else that for Geminis may not be traditionally what we're known for. It wants you to stop with the thinking and the overthinking and to enjoy the world and nature and life. You like to realize all of, the amazing things that surround us, and the fact that we woke up and we're breathing in the morning and all that kind of stuff, and to maybe spend some time feeling enchanted, or thinking about whimsy and fantasy, and not taking everything so darn serious. In order to do that, some of us, maybe if we're able, because this can be difficult for Geminis too, to be able to meditate. A lot of us cannot meditate. We're constantly thinking. And, that's not really conducive to meditation. Maybe healing sounds will work better for you. Now, I read this card a lot of different ways. Healing sounds, for one thing, can be very straightforward and literal. Like, listen to your favorite genre of music, or maybe it is guided meditation. So the sound is somebody else's voice sort of leading you into what you should be doing and how you should feel, and what you should be focused, and managing your breathing and all that kind of stuff. Could be that. I like binaural tones. So it is not necessarily music, but sounds that are geared toward healing different aspects of, one's aura. That's like my healing sound of preference when I'm taking it literal. But then healing sounds are also things like the communication. So hearing from somebody, I'm sorry, or I forgive you, or, I love you, I like you, I care about you, I want to hear what you have to say, I'm interested in your perspective. All of those can be healing sounds, right? And make us feel better and heal a situation, heal a relationship, heal some sort of wound that we have as individuals. All that leading to spiritual growth and ascension and manifesting in terms of blessings. We just got to be careful, our Gemini selves, that we don't tell the universe or try to tell the universe how to give us those blessings. Like this expectancy card comes up when we're sort of like trying to dictate to the universe, I want exactly this in this shape, in this form, at this time, as if it is not in control. God is not in control, or, the creator, or however you want to look at it. And so this is about being open to receiving blessings and allowing them to actually come in, not blocking them. Giving birth to new things. And it's a very spiritual birth, as you can see, with this Pentecostal dove here. And you got like this halo over it. 3 rays. Speaking of 3 rays, here they are, like magnified. You can consider that these 3 rays, right, are these 3 rays far larger. Maybe mother, father, and child, or masculine, feminine, and universe, or God. Different ways of the Trinity. This card also comes up in terms of co-creation, just working with other people on creativity, and maybe in this case a partner, a romantic partner, interest, building what you want. The Tower can be about actual buildings or structures, again, like cohabitation, moving in, but it can be taken as a metaphor of building together, creating together, making miracles happen, because each person is necessary, right? Each of us, one little dot, one little star, we come together to make the whole of the universal heart. We all one heart, one source that beats together, forms of all of us. So, on that note, I want to tell you what else I got here for us, Gemini. Because that's not all. So this other card that we're beginning with, this other overall energy, is the Star in reverse. And I probably should have picked it up when I was talking about those, because this can be the the reason why we're having trouble, or we're representing the fact that we're having trouble communicating, or that there's delay. There's the Star in reverse is similar to the other cards, like what I said. It's still the Star in reverse. It's still the Star, so it's still a wonderful card. And in terms of love, it's still very, very positive for love. So the only one that we saw that it perhaps sometimes is not positive for love is the Tower. This was supposed to be upside down. All the other cards have been really, really awesome. The Star is about prayers being answered, wishes being granted, dreams coming true. So think about those miracles, right? That we saw here that want to happen in our lives. But also, when it's reversed, it's like there's some sort of obstacle. The obstacle can be the delay. The obstacle can be Mercury retrograde all on its own. Or there may be something that we need to consider about us or about our relationship. It can be on one or both sides that we need to resolve before we can have this wonderful, this really excellent opportunity in love that the Star ultimately represents. Star also represents air signs, particularly the sign of Aquarius. Maybe some of us are dealing with an Aquarius, or Aquarius energy is particularly significant. Like I myself am a Gemini sun and an Aquarius moon. So, all of these cards can be reflecting my energy alone, perhaps. That's an example. So there's some sort of stumbling block that one or both of us need to address, and it needs to be resolved, because what really wants to come to us is something really, really excellent, right? And it's important that we think about what that might be. Now, I talked before about, this is so random, but it just goes to the fact that, like I always say, that whatever comes in my mouth, sometimes I don't know why I'm saying something, but it's like never an accident. There's always a reason for it. So I started to talk about people having too low a self-esteem, or, lacking confidence, or having too high, like to the point where it's like ostentatious and obnoxious and arrogant. That could be what's in the way. That could be what's in the way. What your obstacle is. The fact that the Star is now here in reverse. And I just said that a few moments ago. And I think even more so than admitting to ourselves that we have low self-esteem is that we think too damn highly of ourselves, because that's what it's about, right? If your ego is super large, you think that can do no wrong, and there are no wrongs. So of course it's more difficult for you to realize, oh, the fact that I feel this way is what's wrong. That's, therein lies the problem. So that we're bringing this up now, hopefully will be, some inspire you to think about it. If you think that, what I'm saying could be you, or could be your problem and what's been blocking you from love. If you're single and feel that you're ready for love again, then, as an individual, you got to figure out, like, well, what has been standing in my way? If you've been trying already, what has been standing in my way? What might be standing in my way of attracting the kind of miracles, right? The kind of relationships, the kind of, the lover's capacity, connections that I want. What might be standing in the way? And once we get that taken care of, it's like a new relationship could happen like so quickly, like the tower. Like as soon as you figure out what that block is and remove it, boom, relationships. But again, the block may be out of our control. It may be something as simple and straightforward as Mercury retrograde. So now let's get into more specific cards. This one will be for couples. You know what? I've been having to move this up, so let me just get into the habit of doing it. Couples, singles. It's complicated, and one for us all to share. Again, with an overall energy of the star in reverse, which means love wants to come, but something's in the way. Something is delaying or blocking it. What could that something be? All right. Couples. Very nice. It is the Knight of Cups in reverse. So for couples, this means that it's a nice card in terms of love and emotion in general, but this card is actually better for singles. For couples, it can mean that one or both, so this may be the block, one or both of the partners may be feeling emotionally overwhelmed by the demands of the relationship. Maybe it feels like it's going too fast or too much is required, and they probably don't know how to say it, because it's not that they want to be out of the relationship. They're struggling emotionally. So this is something that can be resolved and worked out if, again, both people want to do it. You need to share, communicate how people are feeling. Don't just leave. Judgment says that, the universe wants to reward you. Judgment is about abundance that's earned, the way that I read the card. And definitely a second time around in any area of your life, but particularly love in this case, because this is a love reading. And also for people that have been struggling all along, and couples or relationships that have been struggling, it gives us that opportunity to decide, like, where do we go from here? If anywhere, we can still be happy together, or we may decide that we're happier apart, but the outcome is this. That's what's important. Singles. Okay. More delay. I shouldn't be surprised, but it's just fun. I'm just laughing because it's just funny that, of course we're having delay. We are Geminis, and, Mercury is our ruler. Mercury is about delay. Mercury retrograde is about delay. So we got the Ace of Swords in reverse. This can mean that, for one thing, it can mean, simple and straightforward, that maybe that something is coming for us, something new, something legit. Like the Ace of Swords is about truth and legitimacy and integrity and all that. So something legit and something good, but it's delayed. That's one potential meaning for the card to show up. Another one is that we could become like totally wowed, overwhelmed fall real hard for somebody that is inappropriate for us. Why are they inappropriate? I don't know. Then for me, no judgment. No judgment. No, nothing or no one is inappropriate. But there may be an age gap. There may be, I don't know, some sort of racial gap, or maybe it's your boss or your subordinate, or family member of a friend, and the line that you're concerned about boundaries, like inappropriate in that sense. But at the same time, nothing wrong with taking a little walk on the wild side if that's what you're up for. And people have grown and they decide for themselves. Opposites do attract. That may be the case. You may be major opposites, but all of a sudden you're falling for it. Like I said, this is falling really, really hard. This is tower style falling, right? But when this card shows up, it's important to remember things like, when somebody tells you who they are, believe them. If they say, like, I'm not looking for a commitment, chances are they really, really aren't. Does that mean, and again, you're falling hard, so you're going to probably want one. Does that mean that they'll never want one too? Or that, that can't turn around for them also? Sure, of course it can. So do you want to take a chance? If you do, again, if you're grown, go ahead and take a chance. It just means, like, keep in mind, they may not want to. So you may have to, after a good time, walk away, because that's all you were offered. And so, like, realize that that's the decision you're making when you get involved with them. But then at the same time, there's this movie that's coming out on Valentine's Day, one of the latest black movie. I think it's called The Photograph or The Photographer, or one of those, with Issa Rae, who's so wonderful. She's starring in it. So anyway, like, one of the, in the previews, one of the things that they show is that she's explaining that she's not good in relationships. She's not good at love. And that she, like, sort of inherited this from her mother, who's also not good at love. So that can be the kind of thing that the person is telling you also. But, as the movie's supposed to go, of course, that's a movie, but it happens in real life too. Like, somebody could start out that way, and then the other person could be maybe good enough at love for both of them and show them the way, and things can work out. So again, it's going to be about making that adult decision as to whether or not you want to become involved in something once you know the, potential stipulations. It's complicated, people. Speaking of, it may be inappropriate because it might be your boss or subordinate, coworker. Yeah, that may very well be the case, because the Three of Pentacles in reverse shows up to say that we could meet somebody, who we are really into and is really into us, but it might be at work, might be at work, or in some other group of which we're a part. Other than that, Three of Pentacles also a really, really good omen in terms of love and fertility. Those of you who are wanting to, add to your family, maybe that's why somebody's inappropriate. Maybe they have children and you don't, and so that, that's frowned upon, or whatever, it's inappropriate, or something like that. That could be. But maybe you're in the arena. You're to increase your family. You don't mind being a stepdad or stepmom or whatever the case is, so it'd be fine for you. But this is also a time of you being particularly fertile. And we just saw also over here, I don't think I put the cards back in the right order, but that's good, because I was looking for this one, birth, and also that Trinity type card that is about 3, right? And maybe even miracles, because there could be somebody who's not expecting to get pregnant anymore. Maybe the age thing is a factor, and there, is somebody, an adult, who's not expecting to become pregnant or to impregnate anyone anymore. And then boom, that comes out of nowhere. So that there's a potential for all of these things for you. It's complicated, people. If you, despite having some sort of connection to somebody, are still looking for love, also a really, really good opportunity to meet people, particularly again at work. Speaking again, though, about esteem, when this card comes up, it reminds you to be really careful about coming off subordinate or subservient to another person. I don't mean not being submissive, because a lot of us are, naturally submissive in relationships. and that can be healthy. I mean, so anything overdone can go too far and may not be healthy. But that's not what I mean. I don't mean like submissive, if that's your nature or whatever. I'm talking about coming off subservient, as in less than another person, as in they are more important than you, their interests, their desires, they're a higher priority than yourself. Not the case, not true, and be careful about giving that sort of impression with the three of Pentacles shows up in reverse. That's what it wants you to know. Hold your head up. Hold your head up. Be confident. Be your true self, and see what comes. A lot of good stuff lined up for us. And lastly, very nice. This is for everybody. It is the Page of Wands. So even relationships, like I said, that you decide you want them to end and to walk away, something new coming for you. And the Page of Wands can mean we're getting a lot of messages, perhaps not just one. Messages of like people that are interested in us, affection. Could be very clearly people pursuing us as their passion. Love messages. I don't know how to describe this. It could be notes, especially since it's Valentine's Day. It could be cards, could be gifts, candy, flowers. I don't know. For those who are single, again, somebody could be coming and you could have a lot in common with them, despite them potentially being wildly inappropriate. And, you are guided to take an adventure when the Page of Wands shows up, like to go for it. But it's like also it brings up this energy of like only if you are completely available and they are completely available. Sometimes we're single, but we're not really available because we're like emotionally unavailable. And so that if that's the case, then you need to take the time, to spend on your own, working those things out first. And that may be the delay. And maybe you guys can pick up after you've done that or after they've done that. Those who are already in a committed relationship, if you're happy, obviously you're not going to entertain, messages and stuff that come from other people. If you're unhappy, though, this really could be the time to decide whether or not the relationship can be saved or, if you guys need to cut your losses and walk. Both parties have to be willing to work things out if that's going to be the choice. So if your partner is not interested in working things out and you're both unhappy, then it's probably time to move on. But again, that'll be your own decision. So further to that, I'm going to do advice sort of like in the same way I did the cards. We'll do one for the couples, one for the singles, one for the it's complicated. It can go either way, and one for us all. Couples, your card is very nice. The Page of Water. Page of Water is intuitive, sensitive, artistic, and friendly. A new person enters your life. A relationship begins a new phase. This is growth in your relationships, perhaps. And also heightened psychic abilities are possible. So pay attention to your intuition very closely. The Page of Water, or Cups, like the Knight of Cups that you already had here, is a Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. And, this is a smile on your face. So maybe at least because you're coupled and you're happy for Valentine's Day, you get a kiss or you get, again, some chocolate, some flowers, whatever you get, you're happy. There's a smile. Singles. The Queen of Earth, who is thoughtful, creative, warm, and sensible. Make time for those around you. This is, again, about prioritizing relationships, prioritizing yourself. Take a sensible approach, like in dealing with people and situations. Deal with challenges in a kind and understanding manner. If you got to communicate something, communicate it. But, there's a way to do that that's, conducive to us moving on together, or in one way or another, friends or lovers. And there's a way to, be unnecessarily nasty and push people away. So choose your words and your battles. It's complicated. Very nice. 10 of water. A contented and rewarding family life. Your emotional and material needs are met and you have trustworthy relationships. This is another indication of perhaps you being in groups, large groups, maybe a social event. Again, meeting people at work or family events or events with friends, parties and stuff like that. Great places for you to meet somebody. And, that energy is waiting for you. That's surrounding you. There's room for love. Also, this can be about you expanding your own family, again, pregnancy and stuff like that. So those of you who fall into this category who are not interested in becoming pregnant may want to take some sort of precautions. But again, you are adults and do what you please. And lastly, for us all, this is pretty awesome. It's the 2 of water, a relationship that continues to grow closer, forgiveness, and the positive resolution of a conflict. That may be about what the messages are that you receive. It could be the healing sounds like, I'm sorry, I forgive you. Positive resolution of a conflict. And from this deck, we'll do the same thing. Creativity. So this is another card about co-creation, and it is very Piscean. Also, it's very air, fire, and water. And then of the air signs, it's most Aquarius. She's got this star. I don't know if you can see it, like very strategically placed over a communication center. This is a third eye chakra. But the moon is behind her. The moon is representative of the sign of Pisces in the tarot. And also she's standing in this pool of water with these fish jumping out. The fish is also a sign of representative of the sign of Pisces. She's got this vessel in her hand with water spilling out. She is indeed a water bearer. So again, that's the Aquarian energy. And then she's a red-winged angel, and there's like even red clouds and stuff around her. They're just barely like outlined in white. And so there is your fire. But more importantly, this card is about co-creation too. So some of you couples, you probably have some of this energy of it's complicated, or vice versa. It's complicated people have some of this couple energy because you are indeed a couple, even if dysfunctional. And so it's like crossing. Creativity, or co-creation is a big theme here for you guys. Further to that, it's complicated. You got the Goddess. And it is a nude female with the moon behind her. Again, the moon is representative of the sign of Pisces. So this card is very, like air and water, very Mercury and Pisces. And it does guide us to pay really, really close attention to our intuition, follow our gut, do what that's telling you to do. If you got to figure out whether or not to date your boss, listen to what your soul is telling you to do, what your heart's telling you to do, rather than, what society might say or not say. And also this is about surrender, like letting go and just going with the flow and being organic. Oh, I skipped over the singles. Singles, sorrow. That may be what, number one, the delay is over, but also another reason for the Ace of Swords to show up in reverse. Because again, the Ace of Swords is about, truth coming out and cutting through. So maybe something, comes out that is hurtful. I also feel that this could be already like a past event. This might be why some of us are single, because we experienced something that, was hurtful, an emotional, letdown. And that's even more reason for the need to like nurture yourself and pick yourself back up and get back out there. And then with it sitting here atop the Two of Water, also that there is room to heal those instances with other people too. And lastly, for us all, wow, it is heaven on earth, and it's more this air and fire energy coming through very strong. So definitely could be some, Gemini, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries things happening. or perhaps another air sign, air on air action, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. But more importantly, heaven on earth is a card that shows up when it wants to tell us that we could experience heaven right here on earth if we stop holding on so tightly to hell. Like we're keeping negative cords attached, and we're keeping negative energy and toxic relationships in the place of where really, really excellent relationships and love and positivity could be. So if we want to experience that heaven on earth, we got to let go of those stuff. It may be something, that's not even tangible, like negative emotions, and again, cords of attachment, regret, resentment, guilt, fear, ego, arrogance, right? Pride, the inability to forgive, can be those things, or maybe an actual person, perhaps an air sign or a fire sign standing in the way. You will know what's appropriate for you, what needs to be fixed in your life, what obstacles need to be moved, especially after you do that introspection, for those of us who need to do that. And it looks like, good stuff wants to happen for you. Just got to move the block out the way. I know easier said than done, but I wish you all the best in doing it. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, like showing that you actually like the video. If you're not yet a subscriber, please consider becoming one by hitting both the subscribe button and the bell button so you can hopefully get notifications. If you like any of my other services, or to chat or become friends on social media or any of that, all the information will be in the description box below the video. Thank you. Namaste.